Welcome to the Prelude Music Planner webinar. I'm happy to spend about 60 minutes with you going through some of the major features and functions of the Prelude Music Planner. It's a compatriot of Sundays and Seasons. In fact, very recently now, Prelude and Sundays and Seasons were integrated. So the pastors and other music planners who appreciate Sundays and Seasons can now work with the musicians who may be using Prelude Music Planner and exchange their work with one another. As we move into this webinar, I'm going to be going through both some slides and also some online demonstrations, so hopefully that'll be helpful to you, and especially when we're online, feel free to ask questions and I'll try to explain things as best as possible. Erica, okay, great. Okay, I see that you're typing. I'm glad you can hear us. Looks like you're in now. And I'll wait just a second here before I plunge in while I see your response. I'm going to change up your screen here a little bit. It's great that we've got some music people here with us that are accustomed to living in that realm. Hello, Erica. I'm at work. You'll be fine because I've got everyone muted, and so I'm the only one talking, which is the way I like it. Actually, if you do want to communicate with me, do use a chat pod because that is the best way to do it. You know, at its heart, the Prelude Music Planner is a state-of-the-art online music acquisition and management platform that works in harmony with the church year's liturgical calendar. In particular, the Revised Common Lectionary's 3-year cycle of scripture readings. What is Prelude Music Planner? Well, I like to describe it as a cloud-based approach to worship music planning. Even though Prelude is a tool that leans into the use of traditional music styles and forms, it offers a very modern approach to finding music and planning using technology and the internet. You can find, buy, manage music appropriate to every Sunday, festival, and commemoration of the church year, from beloved music publishers that have a solid reputation for supporting musicians whose congregations worship in classical liturgical styles. Prelude enables you to easily find music that's a perfect fit for your musicians in your congregation. Use Prelude's advanced search functions to browse for organ music, keyboard music, choral music, handbell music, as well as many other vocal and instrumental types, including children's choir pieces, and not just music from Augsburg Fortress. While we are the publisher that developed and manages the Prelude Music Planner, I'm pleased to say that we've never envisioned that this would only be a site containing Augsburg Fortress music. We have partnered with other Christian music publishers to make Prelude the comprehensive tool for church musicianship that it is. In addition to the music from Augsburg Fortress, Prelude gives subscribers access to music from Salem, Morningstar, Hope, Music Publishing, Choristers Guild, Oregon Catholic Press, GIA, and others. Once you find the music that you want, you can buy it and download it instantly right from Prelude. That means if you need something like a Prelude based on a mighty fortress in the 11th hour, you can quickly search for it, preview it, buy it, download it, print the high-resolution PDF, and be back on the bench to play it in just a few minutes. Prelude Music Planner also has powerful tools that enable you to do online music planning. Use drag and drop features to select, add, and position hymns, anthems, preludes, postludes, offertories, and other special music. You can build a music plan for a single Sunday service or build plans for your entire music season within Prelude. All your plans, past, present, and future, are saved in Prelude and will be available to you whenever and wherever you have access to the internet. All this being said, one of the most useful and highly appreciated features of the Prelude Music Planner is the ability to help local musicians catalog the music they already own. You can blend your existing personal and church libraries of choral and instrumental music into Prelude and use the powerful Prelude search engine to look up your music that you've stored in Prelude. As you'll learn later, it's a simple thing to import your music catalogs, add them, edit them, and use Prelude's search functions to keep track of your music in a variety of ways. Because Prelude Music Planner is a website, anyone who has been granted a username and password can access your account from any computer that has an internet connection and a compatible browser. You can share Prelude with multiple musicians, the pastor, the church administrator, etc. This allows Prelude to be a creative and collaborative space for the entire worship planning team. If your congregation has the Sundays and Seasons worship planner on the same account number, that's important, it's got to be on the same account number as Prelude, the work that musicians do in Prelude will seamlessly integrate with the worship plans that others are building in Sundays and Seasons. And I'll share more about that in a little bit. Once I guess we go live onto the Prelude Music Planner, it's a little bit easier to do. Please let me know in the chat pod, and Gina already has. Erica, does your congregation use Sundays and Seasons? Fabulous. Well, that's something that's definitely worth knowing. There's a button in Sundays and Seasons that allows you to edit those plans in Prelude and vice versa. So that integration is pretty cool. So how does this all work? Well, the best way to talk about any of our websites is to actually go live onto the sites. And so I'm going to share my screen with you now. This way we can walk through the Prelude Music Planner together. And hopefully this will just work wonderfully. My computer was giving me a little bit of heartache yesterday. So hang in there. So please tell me that you can see my screen. You should be able to see. Welcome back, David. You have 10 points remaining. Yes. All right. All right. That's a good first step. All right. So we are now looking at the Prelude Music Planner. I'm going to actually refresh it here a little bit. This is the home page. So at a glance in the home page, you'll see your name at the top. You'll see you have 10 points remaining. Points is the currency in Prelude that allows you to buy music right out of Prelude. I'll get more into that a little bit later. You'll also see right below that the tabs of the major sections in Prelude. This is the home page we're on right now. The library plans page where you find music and build music plans. Your accounts page, some help and sign out. In many of our Augsburg Fortress platforms, we've got this little circle with a question mark in there. That's a overlay. It's sort of like a, gosh, what was that again that I had to remember? Well, that'll give you a quick overlay. Now, if you know the music that you want to find, the fastest way to get right to it is this little search title theme keywords. Like anything else, the more specific you are and the more accurate you are, the easier it'll be to go right to that. You can choose the types of music you want, and if you've got that title nailed, you can go to it pretty easily. There's actually more advanced ways to get to things under library and plans, but we'll get to that here in a little bit. Just below the banner content and to the left, you'll find My Plans. My Plans is an area of the homepage that allows you to quickly review your upcoming plans, edit a plan, begin building a new plan by clicking on the dates with the blue dots. And there's nothing here in November. I'm going to go back to October. There's a October 31st, Reformation Day. There's a blue dot there. So by clicking on the dates with the blue dots, you will find plans that have been saved for use on that date. You click the appropriate link that appears under Upcoming Plans to continue working with a started plan. These are some of the plans that I've created for demonstration purposes. You can have plans in various stages of completion, set up for months, even years to come. As I said, you can return to older ones, or if you want to review or duplicate a plan for reuse, you can do that as well. Before we explore the Prelude planning process, let's look a little bit more at what's on this home page. On the Prelude homepage below my plans, you'll find the Masterclass blog posts. These posts by our Prelude developers, contributors, composers cover a host of useful topics, from how to reharmonize hymns by Tim Shaw to some of the latest with new voices, the Small Catechism in Song. Up and to the right of my plans, you'll find the fanfare section. These are announcements about new music from AFP or our partner publishers. You can also find tips like the one that urges you to type S2017 in the search field to find all the new music for last spring of 2017. Scrolling down, we find Prelude picks. Oops, sorry about that. Prelude picks. These are music pieces that we think our Prelude subscribers would be particularly interested in. And then below that, you'll find the Soli Deo Gloria devotions. The Prelude Music Planner offers devotions for group use that connect with the upcoming Sunday in the Revised Common Lectionary. These devotions are from the Soli Deo Gloria print books, which cover all 3 years, A, B, and C. Great for choir rehearsals and worship team meetings. Any questions so far about the Prelude homepage before I move into the next section? Nope, not from America. Okay, cool. So let's move back to the top here and click on Library Plans. This is sort of the working area of Prelude, if you will. There's two primary things you can do. You can do a library search, and that's the one tab here in the column to the left, or you can work on plans, actual worship plans. And so we can do both of these things in this area. One of the great things about Prelude is this library search. It's a powerful tool. Makes it especially useful for musicians to arrange their searches in a variety of ways. You can certainly, as I said before, if you know the title, you can find music by the title. If you're thinking of themes, that's possible too. Some of the easiest ways to find appropriate music is by using the lectionary day. So you can pick any lectionary day and you can find music appropriate to that day. Let's go on Reformation Day. Title, theme, and keywords, as I said before, the more specific you are, the more accurate you'll get. You can do by author and composers. You can filter by type. For example, if you want congregational singing, you could choose hymn or song. That could be a congregational singing combined with a piece. Maybe for Reformation, a large choir piece. Maybe you're doing a choir festival where a number of churches are getting involved. So that would be kind of an interesting thing to check as well. Filter by difficulty. Well, maybe you want to challenge your group a little bit. You can go from easy to medium to somewhat difficult. I'm going to pick a number 4 for that. You can filter by library. That means you can find just things that are within Prelude, just things that you have identified within your church's music as a library, or you can find just your music. What's great about just your music, and I'll explain that more a little bit, that is one area that you can sort of firewall your music apart from everyone else. And so you can make sure that your music is in there and only you have access to that. Under more options, we find a host of other ways that we can search in the libraries. We can search by scripture passage. We can search by voicing, and there's a whole list of abbreviations that could be used. If you're looking for something, for example, with a guitar, you'll want to stick GTR in there if you want a piece that has a guitar. You can search by key and intonation, but Prelude some people, when they took the first webinar, they said, does Prelude transpose music? No, it does not transpose music, but you can search by key and by intonation. So something worthwhile to know as well. Vocal range. If you know the vocal range of your choir, kind of their sweet spot, you can find music within that vocal range even. Or if you have a couple of octaves of handbells, but not like a huge set, you can use that as well to find handbell music. So tune name, source volume. If you want the music to be related to a particular hymnal, for example, you can choose that. And licensing. That's something to keep in mind, because Prelude does not provide you the permission to print music unless you have used your points to buy X number of music pieces. So it's not a situation where you buy one and then run it off to your copier. You really do need to buy music for each person involved in your choir or your ensemble. You can also identify by location of files. This is something that you can, when you're adding your own music to Prelude, you can add a location, loft cabinet, my milk crate in the basement, my trunk. You can add any of those things on as you will to location of files to help you better find the music that you're searching for, and that's particularly true of the catalogs that you upload into Prelude. So let's see. If I click on what I've got so far here, Reformation and the number 4 and a piece with music and large choir, I'll actually get again what I've got already posted here under Library Search, which is 3 items: Built on a Rock, The Church is One Foundation, and We Are the Church. These are all pieces that have those qualifications in common. If I choose Built on a Rock, we'll see some interesting things. And note the relevance is 100%. This relevance bar changes depending on how closely that piece matches your search. If I pick Built on a Rock, as a result of my search, I can find out all kinds of details about Built on a Rock, what days it's appropriate for, what type of music it is. It's always a good idea to maybe look at some of these things. They're not just metadata, but you can get some information that would remind you early on that, oh my goodness, if I do this piece, I'm going to need an electric bass, percussion, alto saxophone, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's always a good thing to look at the details. You can preview a piece as well. And one of the great things about Prelude is it doesn't just give you the first page of a piece. Prelude will give you all of the pages of the piece, and so you can see every page of Built on a Rock. In this case, and unfortunately, I noticed just before doing this webinar, my Flash plugin is out of date. In this case, you can actually play a performance version of this piece to be able to hear what this sounds like. I'll come back around to your question in a second, Gina. Good question. Under contributors, you can see who all was involved in this piece, what the copyright holders are, some background information about that, and my notes. And so I've actually put some notes about this piece. It'd be great for ascending, for example. I put my location. It's in the adult choir files. Maybe we own 30 copies of this already. And then here's a very interesting area in Prelude, where it's last scheduled. So once you buy a piece, you can begin to add information about it and see how often you've used it, where you keep it, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, there's the date last used I mentioned. Is that what you were looking for? Oh, it won't take the date last used. That's a really interesting question. I'm going to have to follow up with you on that one, Gina, because I just don't know enough about how Prelude works to be able to answer that question. But that is because it should be automatic, as you saw here on this example. All right. Well, let's X out of this temporarily and get back to built on a rock. As I mentioned earlier, you can buy music in Prelude by simply clicking Get Music. You can see how many points per copy of a piece of music is, and you can then begin to put in here how many copies you want from that music, and it will then deduct from your point total how many points would be appropriate for you to use this in your setting. So that's easily how you buy music in Prelude. And I'll be talking again about these points in a little bit. You download it, and then you have it available to you as a zip file. Any questions about that process before we move on? Well, let me reiterate that when you click Get the Music and you add the number of copies you plan to make for your choir members, and click Download, you will get a compressed high-resolution PDF of a piece downloaded right into your computer for printing. And let me reiterate that points are the currency that make Prelude work so well for you as church musicians. You get 125 points with each new subscription year. And these points roll over from year to year, so you don't have to worry about using your points at the end of the year. In fact, it's really a great way if you have a music budget and you haven't spent your music budget at the end of the year. You can buy Prelude points even though you don't know exactly what you want to use them for. And that way it's available to you to use in Prelude whenever you want. And I'll show you at the end of this webinar how you can go about purchasing Prelude points. Yeah, and it charges the Augsburg account. That is very true. A second great feature of Prelude buying process is that if you'd rather have the print version of a piece than a digital copy, you can click Purchase from the store link, and you can go right to the Augsburg Fortress web store. That's another reason why Prelude is such a great value for you is that you get a standing 20% discount on any print music or collections that you order from the web store, with the exception of the Evangelical Lutheran hymnals. All right. Does anybody have any questions about any of that? All right. So I'm going to go back to our library search. I'm feeling like I'd like to add a few more choral options to our Community Reformation Festival. So look what happens here when I make a simple change from large choir to SATB. Go. Thinking. So now I've got 25 results that I could choose from as far as this Reformation Day service is concerned. Moving from library to plans, I'm going to open up one of the plans that I've created for Reformation Day. So let's go to Community Choir Festival. So here are my search results for the Community Choir Festival. If I want to start adding music to the Community Choir Festival, and this is kind of the fun thing about Prelude, is that you don't have to buy anything yet. You can just take music and move it into one of your plans and look at it at your leisure. When you can move it around within the plan, you can drop it, add it, whatever. So, for example, if I want to use this piece here, I can drop that into my plan. I just drag it over there. So many choices of Mighty Fortress. Well, let's go to the next page here and see if I can find some other items I want to use. My computer is acting a little bucky right now. It's like, come on, let's go. Sorry about that. It's probably the way that this works is that I'm not exactly showing you directly my screen. I'm showing it through Adobe Connect, and sometimes it just acts a little slow, which apparently it's doing right now. As long as we're here, though, I'm going to have you take a look at this commentary tab at the bottom of Prelude. If you want to find out more about a day that you're planning toward, like the Reformation, you can hit this commentary tab, and you can put in any day. And if you want some thematic ideas for a day, like Reformation Sunday, go. It's giving me all the years, so I'm going to just pick year A. Go again. Then we'll get some interesting background on the readings, maybe some ideas of how those readings fit with the kind of music that you're selecting, how the connections between the themes and readings of the day sync up with the other liturgical elements like psalms and prayers and hymns. There's even life on earth stewardship ideas. There's musicians' notes, hymn suggestions that are appropriate for Reformation Day, Year A. So it's kind of a cool feature, that commentary. So I don't know why this plan is being a little blocky for me. So I got my Mighty Fortress in there. That's evident. I want to put some other things in there too, though. How about the Church's One Foundation? Let's move that over into there. And I wanted to get that piece that I spoke about earlier. Now it's deciding to move around for me. Hello. Where's my Grundtvig piece? Oh, Lord, keep us steadfast in your word. Let's move that over there. And one more. Oh, we have a church. Get the kids singing too. And rise, O church, like Christ arisen. Okay, so what I've done now is I've taken these pieces, and you can explore them. As I said, you can take a look at them. You can see the details, each one of them. You can preview them, every page of them. Check out some of the other aspects of these pieces, and then when you are starting to look at your plan, you can see that all of these things are now drug into this plan called Community Choir Festival that's set now for the 31st day of October. And you can begin to start moving things around too. All right, so you can start positioning them. What do you want first? What do you want second? And so it's a really fascinating tool to use. Moving from the library tab to the plans tab in the area on the left of the planner, you can open up a set of functions that allows me to work with these existing plans. As I've mentioned, the blue dots mark dates with music plans that I have affixed to those days. If I start a new plan, let's do that. Notice how Prelude provides a title field so that you can name your music plan. In this case, let's call it, let's pick the lectionary day. We're planning here Reformation Day. Where are you? There it is. Reformation's on Reformation Day. So let's call this Reformation Community Hymn Fest. Okay, you can pick the day that you plan to use it. You can add Reformation. You can say midweek. You can add plan notes. And this is a place that your entire worship planning team can kind of talk to each other under plan notes. And maybe you could say something like here, DMS, my initial, and I'll say, Alyssa, we need you to drum up the band for the grunt big piece. And so you could begin to talk to one another about this particular worship plan, and then you save it. So now as I go back to this day, there's our Reformation Community Hymn Fest is right here. And this one doesn't have any music yet because I didn't drag anything into that account. So as I said, after I save these annotations, one of the things that you can begin to do is add music to this list. I demonstrated that a little bit already, but I really want you to know that this process is a very simple and it's a fun process, and it's a lot of fun. You can always go back and change your mind, adding, deleting music to plans without having to make any purchases whatsoever. You can even assign pieces to choirs and musicians. Let's go back to our Community Choir Festival that we've got some things going on here. So if you look under musicians, you can say, okay, well, this is going to be a piece that I want our Alyssa to be leading, or if it's a kids choir, I want my kids choir. You can create these labels in your My Account area. This is our Praise Band 1 or Praise Band 2. So those are kind of interesting things that you can do, assigning them to other people in your team. You can add labels also. These labels are really important because when you add labels to pieces of music, especially the default labels that are in Prelude, that's what Sundays and Seasons looks for when you edit a plan in Sundays and Seasons. So it understands things like gathering hymn, or let's call this label let's call it the anthem. Check. We are the church. Let's call that. Give that the Sunday school classes can all sing that, and we're going to call this a sending hymn. Yeah. All right. So once I've made some of those distinctions, did we give this one a label? No. Let's give this one another label. Nope, that's not what I want. Yes. Okay, remove that label. So let's call this Hymn of the Day. Okay, so once I've done some of these things, that's what allows this Prelude plan to sync up in Sundays and Seasons. So just for on the previous screen, can you select more than one musician? Yes. Well, let me double check that. No, you may not be able to do that. Select more than one musician, I'm afraid. Um, I think that you'll only be able to use those tags that are available. I mean, you can create your own tags, but I think you're going to have to use those tags that are available to you. I'm here under the musicians. There is a place here where you can refer to the different musicians. But that's another really good question. I don't know if you can add multiple musicians to the plan. If you can be a little patient with me here. I am going to try to do this one more time and sign into. Where's my plan details? Oops, I got to get my plan up. Plan. Let's see here. Let's go back to Sundays and Seasons. I'm going to try to do this again. So Community Reformation Day Hymn Fest, right? This is the plan that we're working on. Edit in Sundays and Seasons. I'm not seeing, oh, I know why. Okay, so edit in Sundays and Seasons. All right, let's try this one more time. No, it's just going to, I'm going to log out and put in a new, hang on. I apologize. I mean, this is something I want to be able to show you, so. No, it's not letting me log. It's not letting me log in, unfortunately, and I don't know why. All right, that's an alas. But as I mentioned, one of the things that's true. It's not letting me get back to Prelude either. One of the things that's true is when you add those labels to those various pieces that you have put into your plan, that's what syncs it up into the corresponding places within the Sundays and Seasons site. And then what's interesting when you start working on the plan in Sundays and Seasons, I mean, here you obviously don't have any of your liturgical elements, but when you go into editing in Sundays and Seasons, and you'll see where the different places, if it's a gathering hymn or an anthem or whatever, sending hymn, it'll lock into those places within Sundays and Seasons. When you bring it back into Prelude, what's so cool about that is it brings all the liturgical elements back with it. And so you'll be able to see then some of the liturgical elements that Sundays and Seasons adds to the worship plan. All right. Well, let's continue on then with our conversation about Prelude. One of the things that I think is really important is that you note that when you download hymns and service music from Prelude, like A Mighty Fortress, that one of the things that happens when you click Get Music, you can download those hymns and service music for 0 points. In other words, it assumes that you have the hymnals in the pews. So you don't have to spend Prelude points on hymns in the same way that you would for anthems or other copyrighted pieces of music. All right, let's take a look at the Accounts tab now. And especially the ways that you can import your existing church music into Prelude. Working from the bottom, you'll notice at the left that you'll see your church account information. This is particularly important to know because here is where you can find your subscription information, your subscription number. This subscription information is what you need when you want to buy points in Prelude. And so you need to be aware of this. You can buy more points. I have 10 points remaining. I can buy more points. That happens within the My Account area. So I've clicked on that, and then you can see the point bundles that are available to you. As I mentioned, if you go to the Augsburg store, you can buy print music, but you will only get your 20% Prelude subscriber discount if you do it through your Prelude subscriber number. Also, in account information is where you'll find the log of your point expenditures. So here at the bottom, under transaction information, you'll find all the items that have been purchased. And you'll find who has purchased them. Under licenses, coming up to the top here, you'll see the various licenses that you have available. Now, keep in mind that this is just kind of a repository for convenience sake. The Prelude and Sundays and Seasons do not sync up with these licensing services, and so you have to still do the reporting that you would normally do through those services. This is just kind of a repository to keep that information in front of you so you know where it is and you can always go back to that. Okay, so Eric is asking, how would I know if there are 0 point selections, like on the hymns? I must admit some. It will tell you when you say purchase points, it'll tell you how much a piece costs per piece. Like, for example, when I pulled up that great big piece, it said it was worth 8 points. So it'll say 0 points if you wanted to download something like a hymn. Mm-hmm. So it'll automatically tell you that, Erica, when you do the process of getting music. And I can go back and show you that too. So yes, under licenses, this will be a convenient place for you to record and reference your copyright license, the number, the expiration date. It doesn't interface with those copyright services, but it's good to keep that information handy when you need to report reprints and projections. Under services, musicians, and labels, this is where you can begin to make Prelude your very own. You can add service times into Prelude. You can add the names of local musicians and music groups, like the adult choir, if you've got a crescendo teen choir or something like that. You can recall from that Prelude demonstration that you will be able to assign that music to whoever you put into this. So here's add services, here's add musicians, here's add various labels. Now, just keep in mind that Prelude provides default labels, and that those default labels are what sync up with Sundays and Seasons. Any other label that you provide will just actually put the pieces at the bottom of your Sundays and Seasons list of service elements, and you'll have to drag them into where you want them to be. But the default labels, they are automatically sync up with Sundays and Seasons. As far as users are concerned, local users are easy to add and manage in Prelude. Just be aware that the only thing that users cannot access is one another's My Music personal libraries. And so good communication between users is very helpful. Especially if some of you are also creating plans in Sundays and Seasons. But as I said, it's easy if you follow some of these directions here that we provide to add and manage users. You may recall that I shelved for a moment the filter by library function in Prelude. I wanted to speak more about that function here at this point as we consider the My Church's library and My Library here in Accounts setting. This is one of the most exciting and highly valued features of Prelude for local churches and musicians. I don't know of a single church musician that doesn't blend brand new music, beloved congregational classics, their own personal favorites into their music plans. And Prelude offers a way to keep track of all of these libraries and keep them independent of one another. So here we are in My Church's Library. My Church's Library, as it says, is a list of music owned by your church. Anyone on your church's Prelude account can add, edit, or delete works from this list. One of the things that's really, really important to keep in mind is that if you want your music to upload seamlessly into Prelude, you need to download the template that we provide. It will not recognize extra columns. It will not recognize extra column designations or labels. So I'm actually opening up the Prelude template right now, so you can get a feel for what that looks like. If you do that, then yes, you can definitely upload your Excel templates into Prelude easily. There's another way to do this, and I'm waiting for that template to open up on my other screen here. While that happens, oh, here we go. So this is the template that you really must use in order for it to work well with Prelude. And as we warn here, we strongly suggest that you follow these columns and in order as we provided here when we talk about the template here. Download the template. Then you can import that template into Prelude of all your local music, whether it's your church's library or your personal library. Now, if you want to add a new listing, you can certainly do it through this means. It's very similar to what we looked at in terms of the details for each of the pieces in Prelude. You can add, however, some items regarding the title of the piece, the type of piece, keywords related to the piece. And so as you are moving through this process, you are piece by piece uploading additional music into Prelude by use of this new listing feature. You can even include some My Notes about this piece. Don't understand the template? Okay, I can speak to that. So Prelude recognizes a certain format of how you lay out your music in order for it to import efficiently. So if there's extra columns or if there's different labels that Prelude doesn't recognize, it'll make for a balky upload. It may not even do it. So that's why if you download this template into your computer, it gives you the what Prelude recognizes. You don't have to fill it all out, but you do have to use the columns and labels that the template provides in order for your import into Prelude to be as seamless as possible. Does that make sense, Gina? Fabulous. So you can do this with your church's library. You can do the same thing with your personal library. You want to be able to add your own music to Prelude, you certainly can. When you use the template that we provide in the accounts here in the accounts area, you can easily create catalogs of church and personal music that can be imported into Prelude. By doing so, you can apply Prelude search functions then to your personal and church libraries. If you don't have any existing lists, perhaps you can invite confirmands or music ministry volunteers to help you either populate that template or to use that new listing feature to import your music into Prelude. There's only two things that are required to create a new listing here in Prelude, and that's the title of the piece of music and the type. But the more information you have, the easier it'll be to find the kind of music that you want and to use all the search functions in Prelude. Keywords are especially helpful to set pieces apart from one another and to be able to identify, for example, if the number requires a flute or there's a descant or what have you. All right, let's X out a new listing here and talk a little bit more about the Prelude buying process. Okay, you were entering everything through the new listing. Okay, so you didn't like do a mass import into Prelude, which you can do if you've some churches already have Excel versions that they're using to keep track of their music. You just need to make sure that when it comes time to import into Prelude, that you have converted whatever you're using into the columns and the labels that Prelude recognizes, and that's why we would prefer that you download our template and use that if you want to do a mass import. Okay, fabulous. I was thinking that we weren't quite syncing on something there, Gina. So thank you very much for being persistent about that. All right, are there any more questions? I'm actually going to be leaving the Prelude site here in just a little bit. Are there any questions while I'm still live on Prelude? That's something you want to see again, or something you didn't understand? Well, you should be able to use the search functions in just the same way, Gina. So if you go into Library and Plans, and then you search on a piece, maybe you know the title of the piece or some of the other metadata that you put in regard to that piece, and then you go down here and you search under, hang on, where'd it go? Search by library. So then you pick which library you want to search on. There you go. Okay, yeah, Erica says no questions for me yet. All right, well, happy to be of help in whatever way I can. I hope this wasn't too much information at one time. There's a lot to Prelude, and that's what makes it such a cool site. It's sort of like iTunes for church music, and a database for your existing music, and a cool planning tool that syncs up with Sundays and Seasons. So it's kind of all those things rolled up into one. Yep, I'm glad that was helpful, Gina. Wow, I'm glad I could actually share something of that's new to you. Well, I do want to put a final set of slides in front of you. Prelude Music Planner is $79 a year, okay? Which I think is a pretty modest expense, especially when you realize that you get 125 Prelude points automatically to buy music. And a Prelude point is worth about 25 cents, okay? And if you buy any print music and you've got a Prelude Music Planner subscription, you also get 20% discount off of print music as well. So, it's very good to factor those thoughts into your Prelude subscription. I have questions can I contact you directly? I probably, at this point, am one of the best people to contact. Let's see if I can give you my... so you would want to contact... let's see. Well, that's... It's not a matter of overburdening me. It's a matter of me wanting to make sure that I can give you the information that you want. Because I am kind of a novice in Prelude myself. You know, ask me anything about Sundays and Seasons, but Prelude's kind of a new area for me, especially since I lean more toward the pastoral side than the music director side. But I will always find you an answer. I can guarantee that, Erica. Oh, Jane, yeah, Jane Knopfler. Oh, you know Jane. Yeah, she's great. She's really great. Yep. Yeah. She and I are partners here, partners in Prelude. All right, well, that's kind of it in regard to Prelude. It was fun to be able to do this webinar with you. We bumped up to the top of the hour. One of the things that I do want to alert you to, Erica and Gina, did you know that there's Prelude Music Planner YouTube videos? That was news to me. But if you click on that link, web links there, and then browse to it, you'll find some Prelude Music Planner videos that would hopefully be helpful to you as well. There's the link to the Prelude Music Planner homepage, the Augsburg Fortress homepage. But before we go, I recommend clicking on, at the very least, that YouTube Prelude Music Planner video link while you can. Yep. Did that one not work? At Augsburg Fortress. I mean, you can use. You've got a name like mine. You always have to look twice as to whether you're spelling it correctly. Can you? Oh, I spelled my name wrong. There's one O in there. So, I mean, are you not seeing my email? All right. Well, got it. All right. Well, with that, God's blessings to you. What you do for the church. Music is such an important part of what we do together as God's people, and I really thank you for what you have to offer, for bringing your gifts to bear to the edification of God's people. So thank you very much. I hope you find Prelude to be fun, interesting, and useful. I think it's one of the best values around, especially when you start taking advantage of some of the functions in Prelude. Do try that edit and Prelude thing, and edit and Sundays and Seasons thing, and backwards edit and Prelude. If you don't have nobody's giving you user access to your Sundays and Seasons account, tell them you need it. Just if nothing else than to play with it. So, with that, well, great. I love you. Fabulous. Love my church, love my choir. Well, and I love hearing that for sure. Well, Erica, Gina, you have a great day, and hopefully we'll get a chance to connect. I mean, there's nothing that says you can't come to another one of my webinars sometime, and you can try stumping me again. Maybe together we'll learn even more about Prelude along the way. So feel free to join in at any time. One of the things I've always found to be true of my Sundays and Seasons webinars is I've got parish administrators that are like groupies almost. They've gone to 2, 3, 4 webinars. So not to say that I want that. I want you to be able to get it simply and run with it. But if you ever need help, feel free to come into one of the webinars again. All right, you two. Thank you very much for participating. I'm going to be closing out this webinar, and all the best to you.